Hello everybody, this is G-Free, and I wanted to share this video because I play Lina, position 5 support in this game, and I actually have a bone to pick because there are a lot of Linas and Lions who queue up and they don't buy wards, they're already reluctant to buy courier and upgrading it, and then they rush for Aghanims first after their boots. And it pisses me off because Lina and Lion are two heroes with a lot of control and a lot of ability to help out their teammates in fights, even with their skills as it is. You should not be rushing Aghanims first just so you can KS harder, because that 4,200 gold could easily be used to farm up something that helps your team win better. And unfortunately, this may surprise you, but just because you have a high kill score doesn't mean your team's gonna win. Because if the money is going to you, that's money that could be used for your carry or for your initiators to get their blink daggers, their BKBs, their damage items, their tank items, whatever. If you as a support, because Lion and Lina are supports, I mean at best they could position 3, but even then, they should be going for control. And when I say control, I mean your Scythe of Vice, your... I don't like Orchid Malevolence, but Orchid Malevolence would count too. Heck, even a Boots of Travel would help a whole ton, so you can push a lane, or you could always be there for your team. And so I played a game, and I decided I will play either Lion or Lina, and I will always buy wards, I will always have the courier, upgrade it, and I will try my best to not buy Aghanims unless really the game calls for it. And what I mean by the game calling for it is, for instance, if I'm Lion and I have a Magnus teammate, then sure, Aghanims works, because if he lands his reverse polarity, Finger of Death immediately, not to KS, is a good idea to win the team fight, because they'll all be grouped up. Or if you're Lina, if your enemy team has a lot of BKBs, but has someone squishy, Aghanims is a good choice, because Aghanims on Lina turns it into pure damage that goes through BKB. This is what I'm talking about. You need to pick your items to help your team, not to help your score. So let's go into the game. Once again, I am playing with Jace Bellerin, but one thing nice is I end up in a tri-lane as well. And it's a trial lane, the three of us aren't on VoIP together. Dr. Hannibal Lecter and Honey, we found out at the end of the game, are partied together. Slime Shady is queuing solo, and me and Jace Bellerin are queuing together. So the very fact of the matter is, you'll see Dr. Hannibal Lecter, Slime Shady, and me tri-lane, and even without VoIP, we do fairly well. And it's a very interesting tri-lane because we use a hero that I don't normally get to see, Undying, and you'll see how it works in a bit. I'll just speed this up a little bit. Okay. So, I mean, I already know I'm going position 5 here. I tell my team I'm going position 5, and I think at this point I selected Lion first. Now, generally, I like Lion because Lion has Hex and Lion has Impale. You have a lot more group control, but less nuking power. So our teammate locks in Undying first, and I originally thought he was going to go offlane. Undying is a pretty decent offlane. It's just that what happens afterward, it kind of just gets confusing. And Ursa was selected, and Ursa's like a position 2-3, tends to jungle a whole ton. A solid choice in pubs because he snowballs pretty hard. But I saw the Undying and I thought Lion seems like a good choice. Lion has a lot more control, so one thing, if you have Lion, you don't really need to go for Sheepstick. You can go for Sheepstick as well, so you can have more control in a fight, or you can go for things like Mech. But we picked the Sven, and so if I was supposed to support a Sven, I went Lina, because Sven has a very dependable stun in his Stormbolt. It is a 2-second stun at all levels, and that chains very well into my Light Strike array. So I get the courier, I get the wards, I get all this good stuff. I'm gonna be aiming for arcane boots, and so we have a Shadowfiend. He's going mid, which means we have Windranger offlane. Windranger offlane is a very good choice. Looking at their enemy lineup, I immediately thought, and it'll turn out to be wrong, but I initially thought that Timbersaw would be offlane because he's a very strong offlane. He has everything he needs to survive at level 1. I expected Ursa jungle and Troll mid, or Ember Spirit mid, because these two could both be mid or off safe lane, so they needed a support. And it seems like Ember Spirit was having lag issues, and I sort of believe he had lag issues given how the game initially went. This is not gonna be a balanced game, but I wanted to show people how easy Lina can still be effective without needing to rush for your Aghanims first. And this is the same for line. You don't rush for Aghanims first. Please, I implore you. You are excellent supports. You're not carries. You're not... Well, you're gankers as well, but you're not supports. You're not carries. Excuse me. So they have a Lich, and Lich can go offlane as well because his sacrifice enables his team to have his opponents to have less experience, which effectively makes his time laning easier. These two go for their rune, but we get our runes. Undying gets his bounty rune. I gave it to him because Undying is one of those heroes who is a little weak at early levels. He doesn't really have much to his name, but as you can see, we have a trial lane right now of Undying, me, and Sven, and that's very dangerous because Undying has decay. It steals strength from people, lowering their max health and essentially making any other damage you do to them afterward more effective. So Undying does his decay, Sven does his Stormbolt, and then I follow up with Light Strike Array, and that's a lot of burst damage that's coming out from this tri lane. It also solves the problem of what to do with Sven, because Sven's one of those heroes I haven't seen as much, because he's very squishy. I find him kind of like a burst damage carry. But yeah. So, I mean, he gets free farm here. I harass the Huskar quite a bit, and Huskar has essentially lost 12? Yeah, 12 strength at this point. So every right click I did to him was extra. As you can see, his max HP at this point is pathetic. Mid is Shadowfiend, and as you can see, it looks like there was some dispute as to who would take mid lane, because Ursa's here and Ember Spirit's just kind of sitting there, and Lich is here and Timbersaw is just kind of sitting there. Lich, Timbersaw, I suppose it's not a bad lane. I would still prefer them off lane. Huskar off lane is a really bad choice because early on, he has a hard time getting any farm whatsoever, and I mean, looking at their lineup, I would say he's their position 1. You could argue it's Ember Spirit, but Ember Spirit's also just kind of sitting there, not doing much. So I mean, gold per minute's already on the side from my team, experience as well, and Ursa's just, yeah. Anyway, let's focus on the Lina. So as you can see, like, I'm harassing pretty hard, and he just lands that, and Lina's got a pretty decent attack animation, and just like that. One thing Lich is good at is harassing a whole ton, because he pretty much has infinite mana because of sacrifice. I'm not a whole fan of the auto-attacking, but at least he's last-hitting. And I mean, if you think about it, Windranger is one of those heroes who isn't really scared of right-clickers, but magic damage, whole time. She's actually terrified of people like Lion, who have hard stuns that will go through her Windranger. And a pause happens here. They're having connection issues. But yeah. So you can already see how this lane works, and basically once I get my arcane boots, the pressure would be non-stop, because Sven's only limitation early on is his mana pool, which is pretty bad. 0.8 mana regen per second, and that's with a circlet, as he does start out with a pretty bad intel score, and its progression is pretty bad too. Sven is one of those heroes who I like, but at the same time I feel he does a lot of damage but can't take much damage. I don't know why. His starting in armor is decent, his starting health is decent, but something about him just feels squishy.
Okay, we're unpaused. Go, 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 kill, 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 kill. Once again, video games.
Yeah. Also, Lina has an attack range of 670. To put things into perspective, Windranger has a range of 600. So Lina can out-hit many people. That's more than Sniper with 1 level of take aim, by the way. Sniper is 550 and gains 100 per level of take aim, if I'm not wrong. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Lina's base attack range is further than Sniper's with 1 level of take aim. I'm not a fan of the early level of Cleave. I would prefer at least a level of Warcry so that you have the bonus movement speed, and then take more stats, because, like I said, I always feel Sven's a little squishy early on. I take the Illusion Rune because Lina with the Illusion Rune is very scary. She can threaten other lanes, so I mean, if this lane were actually going badly, just parking my hero within vision range but outside of the tower's hit range would scare them to think that I was gonna gank it. So yeah. Also, I do have the Lina Arcana set. It looks kind of weird. She always looks like she's staring to the sky. I'm not sure how I feel about it, actually. It's very 50-50 for me. So I mean, the Husker is getting farm. Some decent off-lane farm, I suppose. Still not optimal. And I mean, Lich is in lane, auto-attacking. Ursa's gone to the jungle. I think that's the best choice given their team lineup. But their Ember Spirit and their Timbersaw just vanished, and they paused, and we decided, you know, best to wait for them. So I'll go back to why Lina builds. I've seen arguments for maxing out any one of these 3 skills. However, the general consensus always seems to be you want at least one of each. Now, the Dragon Slave early build is when you need to shut down people, because it's basically more nuke damage. Because at level 4 it's 320, whereas Light Strike Array is only 240. Light Strike Array seems much better for tri-lanes or aggressive dual lanes who can deal a lot of damage, because the extra stun time that you buy could usually equates to at least 1 more right click. So I mean, 1 more right click from you, 1 more right click from someone else, and that usually is enough to make up for the lost 80 magic damage, which when you factor in most of the heroes' base magic resistance of 25%, that means you just need to make up 60. And early on it's easy to make up 60 in right clicks. I've seen people argue max out Fury Soul because you only need 1 level for the stun, because the stun only goes up by 0.3. So you get 1 level of Light Strike Array for the stun, you get 1 level of Dragon Slave just for the damage, and then you go full Fury Soul because you get more movement speed and attack speed, and it gives you more harassing power. I've seen arguments for all 3, and my preference is towards Light Strike Array, like I do here. but it's good to know that you have these options just in case. Now, I'm being a good support and not taking farm. Yeah, I think a 186. I mean, it looks like the Lich is putting up a fight at least. Ember Spirit is not doing too well. Ember Spirit went for Sleight of Fist. I've seen people say max out Sleight of Fist. I've seen people say max out Flame Guard. I'm more partial towards Flame Guard builds, though I suppose it's not as useful against the Shadowfiend. The reason why I like to max out Flame Guard is simply because it's a really strong immolate, if you really think about it. The amount of damage you get out of it is really high. And so we just push this lane pretty damn hard. Undying rotates for a while because Windranger seemed to be having a bit of a hard time. And Huskar's just dead. Did I miss it? Oh, yeah, I missed another kill on Huskar. Give me a sec. I'll find it. And then I'll zoom back up. So this happens and I was like, yep, go. So just like that. Sven into Lina is very scary because Sven's nuke is pretty damn painful. Lina's nuke is pretty damn painful. And pretty soon I'll be having my arcane boots and Sven will be able to do this bullshit non-stop. So this lane gets won pretty damn hard. I think like Timbersaw could get out of it because of chain, but if he didn't take chain for instance, he'd be dead. Centaur Warrunner probably wouldn't be able to handle a lane like this either, because it's heavy in spell damage. There's a lot of right clickers who wouldn't be able to handle this sort of lane, and so Huskar's coming back. Sorry, there's a lot of offlaners that wouldn't be able to handle this sort of lane. Like, I don't think a Slardar could handle this. I definitely don't think Windranger could handle this because this is mostly magic damage at this point. And I mean, yeah, this Huskar cannot do anything. He cannot come close, because even if he does, his range is only 500, so I will always outrange him, and I'll always be able to harass him the whole time. They get a kill up top. I took a little extra damage than I needed to. Probably committed more mana than I should have to, but I have arcane boots, so I can actually do this pretty freely now. So top lane's going well, mid lane's going well, and like I said, the rest of this replay once the mid game starts is just free. But the Huskar is playing somewhat decently, and I mean, you could argue he has some skills that would work. Yeah, I wasn't close enough to use my light strike, so I just used my dragon slave. One thing, all you Lina and Lion players out there, please, you will see that I do not use my Laguna Blade to kill steal. The damage is so massive, don't waste it like this. So I mean, yeah, see? I just get stuns. Don't get blasted. Leave it to your carrier, because he will do so much with that money. I could have kill stealed, I didn't. Just saying. And I was even nice enough to give him a healing salve. So yeah. I think this was placed here just in case Ursa was inside, because I don't think anyone wanted to walk in. Huskar's still here. I mean, at this point, Huskar has 800 max health. And like I said, if Undying lands a few good decays, I can just Laguna Blade and kill Huskar, because that strength steal is very, very significant early on, and I think Undying has a lot of place in teams with a lot of burst damage, and like if your carry has some sort of stun of their own. Other carries this could work with would be Alchemist, if you're running, say, a Vengeful Alchemist lane, or Ogre Magi Alchemist would also be decent. What do the carries actually have? Hard stuns or CCs? Alchemist is the easy one. Lifestealer is another one. I mean, it's not a stun, so people like Timbersaw can get out fairly easily, but it's still a pretty strong combination. And this happens here, and I use Laguna Blade early because I don't want to killsteal. I die. That's okay. Because this happens. Undying tried to use his heal, and my initial thought is, I mean, I'm against supports kill stealing, but in that sort of situation, just get the kill because you need your carry to live. I understand why he did it. I'm not for it. And finally Timbersaw comes to this lane, but Timbersaw by this point is really lacking farm. Timbersaw has just 107 gold per minute and has an abysmal 117 experience per minute, meaning that he is level 5. He's not even level 6. The highest level is level 10 on the Lich and level 9 on the Troll Warlord. Both of them have died quite a bit. Huskar more so. And so we rotated to top because this was just free by this point. And these three are rotating because they're terrified of what we're going to be doing. I think this was an attempt to deward because Ursa wanted Roshan. Yeah, and that happened. And we didn't know that Ursa was here. We were already pushing top. We were like, it was free. Like my gold per minute on position 5 is 261, and I'm still buying wards, by the way, like a good position 5. So all you lions out there, please keep buying wards. It helps your team a whole ton. It didn't see this one because I usually put the ward here early on because it spots ganks that are coming in from here. It's great against Muranas and Pudges. Also decent against Pucks. So I've already rotated down. And I saw the Ursa, and this just happens. And I'm not sure if I Laguna. I don't think I Laguna. No, I just light striked again. Oh, yeah, I Laguna'd. But I Laguna'd early, because there's no point in me trying to steal the kill from Sven. Sven needs it more. I mean, I'm very happy with a 3-1-4 at this point, because I already took some kills early on. I don't need... Here's one thing you might be surprised with. You don't need to get the kills for everyone to realize you're good. In fact, sometimes if they know that you're giving the more important person farm, they will actually respect you more for it. Shocking, I know. Play the game properly and people like you better. Shadowfiend gets the kill on Ember Spirit. He has a double damage rune. Nothing much going on. I give this guy mana. And the Undying stacked this for our Sven. That was really nice of him. Usually, by the way, supports should be getting bounty runes. Unless you have a character who really needs to hit a particular level very fast, supports should be getting the bounty runes because supports are the ones who are always roaming and usually don't have the time to stay in lane and farm. So I put the ward and then I took this Invis rune because I wanted to gank. Or I didn't take the Invis rune. Whatever. Oh yeah, I didn't take it because Shadowfiend had a bottle. So I was like, you can take it. And Sven took it, which is fine because he's initiating for the two of us anyway. And the enemy team has started placing wards, and I'm willing to bet it's the Lich. Is it? Can't tell. Anyway. But Ursa's here. And Sven's invisible. And we decided to just go into Ember Spirit because he's easy to gank. And yeah, just like that. What does Huskar have? This? Okay. Ursa has a lot of health. Can't really tell right now, but I'm fairly certain he's got a decent amount of health because my Laguna Blade wasn't really tickling him too much. Ember Spirit does this weird thing where he uses his ult back here, so we all just killed him. It was weird. Once again, however, you'll see that I'm saving up money, and it's not for an Aghanims, because, like I said, the Aghanims on Lina will turn it to pure damage, so meaning it does about 33.33% more damage. Because a base 25% magic resistance means that if she dealt 1,000, she'd only deal 750. That was a really good disjoint. Sorry, separation by the team. I land my stun, and we get the kill. Bit of a chaos from Windranger, but at this point it really doesn't matter. And I want my Windranger to get her Lincolns, because the only person on their team who really still has any threat is Lich. Also, Lina has an impressive intelligence gain. She gains 3.2 intelligence per level, which is very high. I'm level 11 without anything boosting my intelligence, and I have 59. And I get my Blink Dagger. Blink Dagger is one of my favorite Lina items because it helps her initiate. And that initiation means a ton for your team because you are an aggressive support. You're not defensive. You don't have the control of Crystal Maiden. So you are damage on call, as far as I'm concerned. Not the best position for Undying to be in. And at this point it's just a dive, but they can afford to because of the lead we have. And Sven tower dives and gets paid for, and has to pay for it. Shadowfiend gets some kills, and I'm just zipping about. Got a Blink Dagger gun. So, alternative first items for Lina would be a Force Staff, again for the movement bonuses. You could also go for a Yules. Now, a Yules on Lina is good because she's squishy. It's very common for enemy teams to try and focus you down because your damage output is high. So just Yules yourself the minute they start jumping at you. It gives your team time to counter gank, and when you land, you just throw out your spells and then hope you don't die. If you do, it's okay, you've thrown out your spells, you've hit buttons. If you do have the farm and your team is up against another team that hasn't lost so hard, you could go for a Scythe of Vice. Scythe of Vice is a great item on Lina. It's still good on Lion because it's control. It's amazing against people like Timbersaw. It's amazing against people like Ursa. Heck, it's great against people like Ember Spirit to shut down any sort of escape. And I'm still buying wards, as you can see, because like a good support. And by the way, even without the 33% damage boost from my Aghanims, that's how much damage my Laguna Blade is doing. And this Lich isn't behind. This Lich is level 11, same level. 675 magic damage. You can reduce it by 25%, and that's how much damage it's actually doing. To handle it, and Windranger just dives. To compare it to Aghanims, it would have instantly killed the Lich with Aghanims, but I would rather have the kill going to Windranger than to me. And this all boils down, I think, to the sort of mentality that people go into Dota with. And I was talking to Jace about this, for those who don't know or haven't seen any of the cast I had with Jace Bowden 343, is that compared to League feels, and this is an opinion, we could be wrong, but according to him, League is a game where an exceptionally good player could make some big plays and carry their team much easier than a single good player could carry their team in Dota. And he was even mentioning one particular Korean team or something that somehow got carried by just one person and beat all the NA teams. Like I said, just an opinion. But in Dota, from what I found, even if you have one exceptionally good player, you're not going to be able to save your team if the rest of your team doesn't communicate and isn't good. As you can see, that was a really bad initiation. Under a tower, Lich ult. The others didn't really do much, but that's just my opinion. At this point, I told Windranger to go for Aghanims because more pushing power, and I decided we should just end the game early. Save. I mean, there's no point dragging this out. I'm not here to farm kills, to generate a high score to show off to my friends. It's just a game. But a game that I like to play properly, and a game that I enjoy playing when everyone does their job right. And I think Jason and I want to do a replay analysis for this game where I went Silencer, position 5. Position 4, because there was a Vengeful Spirit who decided to go position 5. So I just pushed the lane. So that's all Lina needs to do. And Ursa comes along. At this point, I think I decided that I was going to build for a Bloodstone, so that I could just do a consistent siege. Bloodstone is an item to get on Lina when you're winning. It's not an item to get when you do not have the lead. It's a pointless item. Because if enemy teams build right, they will counter all the magic damage of your team in with a pipe. And by then, you should be transitioning to utility. Also, for those who don't know, you can stun Roshan with Light Strike Array, even when he has his magic guard up. So I thought they were going to push down mid, and I figured, you know, let's just wait here and gank. They instead didn't. They're playing really defensively. They're playing how they should be playing. I've got my Soul Ring ready for me back at base. So once again, Sven, Lina is a crazy strong combination. We run through that wheel more than we should. But like I said, I just want to highlight that you don't need to rush for Aghanims to be decent, and you don't need to KS with your ult to get the farm you need for items. The assist gold is more than enough on people like Lina, even more so on Lion, because Lion doesn't need to build mana regen as much. I mean, some mana regen on him is good, but you don't need it. Once you could just go Sheepstick and you'd be fine. Yeah, this happens. And at this point, it's like, wow, you have Chrysalis. Okay. Because my Light Strike Array didn't even need to hit. But I like the idea of winning, so I'm going to give Sven farm. And for those people who are like, what if we already have a position 5? Can I go for Aghanims first? No. If you're talking about position 4, yeah. I did a Laguna Blade kill here, but I'll show you what happens. So he was running away, and Lich does have a high movement speed, so he was getting away, and I just Laguna Bladed, because this guy wasn't going to be able to catch him. For those of you who are asking, what if we already have a position 5 or position 4? Can I go for position 3 or Lion or Lina? No. Because neither of them do what you need position 3s to do. You need your position 3s to have some form of amazing AoE burst, so that you're talking about your Witch Doctors. You're talking about... wow. I mean, even Mirana, this position 3 would be decent. Windranger position 3 is another one. That's a good heal. Windranger as position 3 is a good one because Windranger has a lot more control and utility, survivability, versatility. if you need a position 3, Lion and Lina are not optimal for it. If your position 4 is someone like Dazzle, maybe you could consider position 4 Lina, but that's still not gonna be Dagon and Aghanims. That's still gonna be Scythe of Ice. Because the bonus damage you and your entire team gets when you turn a target into a sheep is amazing. Because hold on. Yeah, this smoke was unnecessary, but I mean, why not, right? So this happens, we get the kill here. Unnecessary use of everything. And I get caught out of place because of the Lich's ult, but yeah. So I mean, Scythe of Ice is great for disabling any form of damage block, disabling any sort of spells, slowing someone for a decent amount of time. It's just good all around. And like even on Lion, it's a good item because 1, it gives him the extra mana regen, and 2, it gives him more disable. Can you imagine being able to stun, hex, and then use Scythe of Ice on someone? It's amazing. I have no idea what's happening on their team, but it looks like their team is pretty upset. IB too, because their team's lane composition was dreadful. No one was where they should have been, and they wanted to gank us. By this point, I have my point booster, and I was like, yep, I want to build towards my Bloodstone, so I can just endlessly siege this and end the game now. Ideally, like in a proper game, I would have probably thought after Blink Dagger, if I'm going for an aggressive option, I'm still gonna get my Scythe of Ice. The other one would have been Shiva's Guard if the enemy team had a decent enough farm to give you trouble. Yeah. I was like, shit. So yeah. I missed my stun, and so I was forced to use the extra mana to just nuke him down. And I'm glad that, you know, my projectile hit before Sven's, because I didn't want to lose the kill. And I didn't want to risk... Yeah, I didn't want to risk stealing farm when I didn't need to. I'm in no rush to get my items. Sven can farm and get all of the lovely items he wants. He has a Daedalus on him, he's a Skull Basher. I'm happy with that. And I do some warding again, because I'm still buying wards. This gives us a lot of opportunity to gank them anytime they try to come back out. So why is... Yeah, and this is... I was on Skype with Jason, I told him, get away from me, and he kept close, so I die because of that. I got pretty mad at him after. Like, friendly, sort of mad. So, why are wards important? Well, wards are important even at late game because Dota is a game where you need to keep snowballing. When you have the lead, you can't lose it. And when you're in an aggressive stance like this, it's actually a lot harder to get farm than you think because the lanes are very fixed. The best way to deal with all of this when this happens in Dota is ward their jungle. if they try and move into the jungle where it's unlikely they could have possibly warded all of the gank paths, you go and punish them for going out and farming, effectively scaring them away from trying to farm, which is their only way to come back from a deficit. Because if they keep trying to rush face first into you, unless you are caught horribly out of position, they should be losing every single clash as time goes by. So we know they're here. Yeah, I told Windranger that he actually just revealed his position. So now we were in a harder position to gank. This is one of the safer gank. This is one of the safer creep camps because if you put a ward up here, you'll know anything that's coming along. But Sven has the bonus movement speed. I mean, Sven isn't about to lose this. Never mind. I eat my words. I ate a lot of things apparently. The big question is whether I swallow. I will say it's kind of embarrassing that we haven't downed these two barracks. I mean, when we have an advantage like this, you shouldn't be able to lose it. And we aren't losing. We're still gaining, but you should be able to end it because I mean, the entire thing about having an advantage in terms of levels and gold is to eventually stop them from getting the items they need. If they do get the items they need, then it's pointless. If you wait too long, they will still end up heading level 25, and they'll still end up getting their big items. And that was painful to watch. A good ult. I'm not sure if that was a KS. I hope it wasn't. Nah. This happened, they went in, and I was just like, kill it before it does its last hit to Undying. This was really unfortunate. This was really unfortunate for Undying. So I was like, shit, okay. Your death will not be in vain. And Windranger was spawn camping, I suppose. And told him, could you just come here and let's not lose this because we're being arrogant. And so he decides to use Focus Fire. Focus Fire is great for pushing a lane. I have no idea what he's going for. I think he's going for Daedalus. Which at this point I'm like, sure, go for it. Finish my soul booster in 1. So the only thing left is to get my bloodstone. Also, by the way, if I'm tripping on words, it's because I've had a very tiring day. That whole exchange program where I went into League, I was learning Sona today and I did horribly because... Oh, by the way, that wasn't a KS because this Ursa was actually dealing some serious damage at this point. So I was like, I'm gonna make sure that Timbersaw doesn't do any shenanigans. I'm gonna take one thing out of the equation. Words. Difficult. I can speak English. I can speak England. Yeah. So he pushed down 2 lanes. I'm just like, can we please just end this? And Huskar just comes running back. At this point, I think they're just feeding for the fun of it. I was like, no, you stupid! And then I just blinked away. I ate a single hit of it, just like that. And so I have my Bloodstone recipe coming in for me. By the way, one item I do like on Sven is Blink Dagger. Like I said, he's very squishy and for a hero like this, and I feel that it's in his best interest to get items that allow him to initiate on his terms. So Blink Dagger is an item I really like on him. I just decided I'd walk back to base because at this point there was really no rush. I got wards too. I'm still getting wards because, like I said, this ward matters a lot. Prime ward spots when you're aggressive is here. Here's a decent one, but you could just ward here as well. This is decent in case they're trying to jump you when you're coming in for a push. I wouldn't bother warding these two camps because they're pretty far out, and if they are here when you are pushing into their base, they're gonna have a hard time trying to reinforce it unless they buy a TP scroll, and at that point in the game even the 100 gold they spend on a TP scroll is a huge commitment. So I get my Bloodstone. Yeah, so I've got level 3 ult, that's 950 divide, and I mean this would probably a Dragon Slave plus this, yeah, let's watch that again. It felt good in my soul to do that. Like I said, at this point it really doesn't matter. I have no idea what he's saying, by the way. I don't speak Spanish. I assume it's Spanish. But, I was just surprised someone would bring Facebook into this. So, I mean, at this point, the only thing you should be taking from this is how to keep winning. When you are in a lead, don't go score hunting, don't go hunt, don't go kill farming, just end the game. Push the lanes, take towers, attack them from multiple fronts, make them scared, ward their jungle so they don't run, so they can't get an opportunity to farm, and then just, you know, see, like, it would be so easy to dive them right now, but instead, push the tower first. You can let one or two of your teammates go in like that, but there's no point you doing it. And I was just off. I was pretty surprised. And I was like, are we really going in like that? Okay. Lina is a very aggressive support. She offers no real... Her only utility is her Light Strike Array. Aside from that, everything she does is just about aggression. And Scythe of Ice was obtained. It's a great item, like I said. And they wanted to kill me, so I was like, just nope. I couldn't blink away in time, unfortunately. So they got their kill on me, which is fine. And that is how you win a game. You have an advantage, you surround them, ward them, and you know what? Lina's lions out there, you don't need to get Aghanims. Stop doing that, please. You make all the support Lina and lions out there really ashamed to play the characters that they like, because, you know, if I pick Lina, majority of the time someone's gonna think I'm here to kill steal, and that's not the truth. Yeah, and I told this Windranger, just please end the game now. And the game ends. There you go. Lina with no Aghanims, always buying wards. You can do it. Go, all you Lina and lions out there. You're not position 3, you're position 5. Be proud of it. Hope you enjoyed this, and stay tuned in the future for more Dota videos.